What's up, Tiger Gang? This is JT from the Poco Moonshine family. We're back with another episode of Chatting with Carnivores. Today we got Todd from the Carnivore Cure. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, JT. Thanks for having me, man.
Man, absolutely, man. You guys, I just got to say how we even got here first before we get into Todd. I was interviewing Nia's Way. If you guys are interested in her YouTube channel, it's Nia's Way. Nia's great gal, great story. But while I was interviewing her, Todd was in the live chat and he messaged me. Todd, what did you say? How much did you originally weigh? Like
So
seven?
it's basically an estimate. I had to work backwards from what I lost, but I believe I started at a minimum of 715 pounds. It was probably a fair amount over that, but yeah, right at 715 is where I estimated. So
Yeah, you guys. He put that in the chat. He said he had started about 715 pounds, and you're down to about what now? 490.
yeah, probably a little bit less now. I haven't weighed in a few weeks, but yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I said, dude, what a great story. He says he's inspired by Bill. He can really relate to Bill too. So I said, we got to have you on here. So that is how this happened. And now we're here. So Todd, I'm glad that you got all up in my live chat and and you left that message. So Todd, where are you from and where are you at, bud?
I am in Bozeman, Montana. Yep, and I'm originally from Miles City, Montana. Been here my whole life, and plan on staying here my whole life.
What's your favorite part of Montana?
Honestly, probably Bozeman. The Gallatin Valley is very beautiful here, and it's only 89 miles from Yellowstone Park. It's 41 miles from Lone Peak, which is a world class ski resort and a um, private billionaires club or whatever. All the movie stars and stuff are up there, and then uh, we're about 20 miles from Bridger Bowl, which is another giant ski resort, and then we just got lakes and rivers all around us. Let's see, the Missouri River forms is we're right where the Missouri River starts.
Oh,
The three rivers come together, and that's just a little ways down the road. Plus, we have Glacier National Park here, which is real
mm.
beautiful. So we're kind of in the thick of it, and the western half of the state is definitely the most scenic for sure.
What type of animal do you see the most of?
Oh man, we got them all. We got a lot of elk, a lot of deer, a lot of antelope, a lot of moose. Um, right here in my backyard, last year, one of my buddy's goats got eaten by a mountain lion right in our backyard.
Wow. Yeah, dude, you wouldn't want to go out for a smoke of a cigarette that night.
They
Oh,
won't get near you, but
oh, okay.
they were they were stalking his goats, and
Mm.
yeah, he had them in a kind of a wood uh, shelter, and that thing ripped all the wood off of it and just ripped the roof
Wow.
off of it and got in there. And
Some hungry bastards.
yeah, he had him a carnivore meal.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Hey, a carnivore's got to do what a carnivore's got to do, I guess.
For sure.
But Todd, take us back in our time machines here. How did you grow up, Todd?
Well, I had, I was a big kid. My mom was just telling me the other day, since I started my YouTube channel, she was telling me that I was born 3 weeks premature by C-section because the doctor was worried about how fast I was growing. So
Oh, wow.
I had to pull me out of there. But yeah, I was just a super big kid. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know by the time I was 5 or 6, I was 200 pounds.
Wow,
I,
really?
yeah, it was huge. And by the time I hit 500 pounds somewhere, probably around 11, and I hit 600 pounds by the time I was 14. And just the weight was massive. My dad was a Marine, but he was in Vietnam. He was a helicopter gunner, and he got real sick with Agent Orange, and
Oh,
it got in his blood, and it tore up his arteries. And so he had heart problems. He had his first heart attacks when he was 38 years old. And so he had a hard time, working and stuff. So we were pretty well below the poverty level. So we didn't eat very good. we, we were eating junk. I'm one of 6 kids. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and so yeah, it was we were grew up on macaroni and cheese and ramen noodles and hot dogs and all the processed stuff. But I think the real cause of my most of my problems I actually think were soda, because I was way addicted to soda from a young age. Like that's all we drank was cheap off-brand soda. It was a rare day when I drank water. you know? So that's what really put the hurt on it. And but yeah, we were pretty hurting for money, so I was homeschooled until I was about 12, and then my dad got an electronics degree when he was in the Marines, and he when he got out he became an electrician. And so dad couldn't really work because his heart was super bad, but he would take us to work, and we would wire houses and buildings. and and dad would show us what to do and taught us the trade. And so yeah, I've been pretty much working full time in the field since I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Just a couple quick comments, quick. We'll get some more questions. Low carb carnivore. Hey, everyone. Carrie, Homestead House. Shout out Tiger Gang. Share, share, share. I'm on the road, but we'll watch later. Yes, thank you, Carrie. Love you, bud. Now, so what health issues brought you to the carnivore diet specifically, Todd?
Well, when I was working in the field when I was 12, I started trying to figure out how to lose weight because it was really hard to work construction and be 600 pounds. Your back's hurting, feet were hurting, and had to do something. And so I was to the doctors and dietitians my whole life, and they did what they do to everybody, put you on the standard American diet, work on portion control, work on cutting your calories. And I was hopelessly addicted to soda. So it was miserable. And that pretty much started a cycle of just going on starvation diets, really.
What was your soda of choice?
Oh, man. It was pretty much anything, but I really liked Squirt.
Squirt?
I loved Squirt. And then Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, pretty much whatever, was cold, Dr. Pepper, and it was terrible. I was drinking, I think sometimes I was drinking 24 cans a day,
How did you kick the soda?
Well, it was quite the path, but I didn't kick it until after I'd gone through a few rounds of keto. And then right when I finally, just a while back, got on carnivore. And then I like a guy on YouTube here. He's called Dr. Berg, and he's a kind of a keto guy, but he had an idea about taking lemon juice, volcanic lemon juice, and mixing it with carbonated mineral water and putting a little stevia, basically making like a sparkling lemonade. And I did that for about 6 weeks while doing ketovore, I'd say, basically, and started taking a lot of his electrolytes. And whatever that combination was, that not only kicked my soda habit in about 6 weeks, it also something snapped, and I stopped craving any sugar. Like I don't crave anything now. I have no sugar cravings. I'm not even remotely tempted to eat any of the old diet. It was pretty crazy how the addictions just shut off. It was amazing. And then I knew I was on to something finally. Because now it was getting easy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Limitless Lindy says, "Hey Todd, I've been looking forward to this."
I appreciate it, man.
You had just mentioned a starvation diet or something.
Oh yeah. So
before I cut you off.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I'd been on several of them. I'd lost 300 pounds twice in my life.
Wow.
And I'd lost 200 pounds 4 times in my life. And the most extreme one was when I was 23 to 24. I only ate twice a week And each time I'd eat only 1,000 calories or less each time. And I did that for 17 months. And I got down to my lowest weight I'd ever been in my adult life. I got down to 337 pounds. I was working 50, 60 hours a week in the field and just not eating.
Wow.
And I was playing softball and stuff and practicing on the weekend and stuff and just running my tail off, and that worked. But I didn't feel good. I was always hungry. The soda addiction and everything was still there, even though I wasn't touching it. It was misery. I was tired. I lost a lot of weight, so I felt better because of that, but also not eating. I lost a ton of muscle. Stuff started breaking. I tore my rotator cuff. I ended up having knee surgery right after that. Just everything was breaking down from doing that, and I kept getting dizzy. And I had a terrible lung problem since the time I was 18. My oxygen was only 88% on a good day, and I was just always fighting. I could never breathe, And I'd been in the hospital. I don't know. I couldn't even count how many times because my lungs.
It's scary, isn't it, when you can't breathe? I've
It's
been there.
terrible.
I can relate. It's the scariest shit in the world, people.
Yeah, and that it's so miserable. I mean, they finally they could figure out what it was, and they finally diagnosed me, which I felt like they just gave up and picked a diagnosis, but they diagnosed me with reactive airway disease, and basically it's like a stress induced, like a physical stress, or like if you're working or lifting something heavy or just exerting yourself, it causes a terrible like asthma attack where my lungs would just close off, and just felt like an elephant was sitting on your chest, no matter what you did. And I mean, that was miserable. I hated those. I remember I was pushing my four-wheeler out of the snow once and had one of those attacks, and you're just sure you're gonna die. you know, they're absolutely miserable. And that was actually the first time that I got serious about getting off soda, because I didn't know what else to do, but I could tell that on days
it ain't helping, right?
yeah, and on days that I would drink a lot of soda, I could tell that my lungs were worse, And so I got off. I basically decided not to drink any calories, but I was still drinking a bunch of diet soda and aspartame junk, and that helped. But it was the cravings were still there, and I was still so my lungs were so sick and everything. It was ridiculous, but that kind of started everything, because that was clear back in 2018. Kind of had some family tragedy stuff that was going on, went through a bad time in life, and I was just really trying to change things. So I got off the soda, and then after I've been off the soda, my brother happened to be lifting weights and stuff, and I was just looking for something to try, and he was on a weightlifter diet of high protein, low fat, and moderate carbohydrates, like 150 grams of carbs a day. So I did that, and that was the worst diet I had ever been on. I did that for 14 months, and I did not cheat once, but I was so depressed and full of anxiety and just sick and tired. And after 14 months, I only lost like 37 pounds after that whole time. And I mean, every meal I ate twice a day. They're the same. In the morning, I would have these turkey breakfast sausages with egg whites, and at night I would have chicken breast with brown rice, and it was the most terrible, gross, bland crap. And I was starving all the time, and I was miserable, and I couldn't sleep. And so I knew I was about to fall off the wagon, because I was so depressed I could not take it anymore. And so I actually looked up. I was like, I can't eat another dry piece of chicken. I just can't do it, And I wasn't particularly good at cooking it. And so I looked up, what is the best way to cook meat so it tastes better without putting sauce and stuff on it. And it actually came up to sous vide the meat. I don't know if you know what that is. It's basically where you put meat in a vacuum sealed bag, and you put it in water, and you use a circulation pump that holds it at a certain temperature. And it's basically sous vide. I think it's French for cooked in vacuum. But there's a channel on YouTube called Sous Vide Everything, and I started watching them to learn how to sous vide meat, because I wanted it to at least not be dry, because I couldn't eat all this dry chicken. So I ordered one of those, but when I was watching that channel to figure out how to do it, they kept sous vide ribeyes and searing them in butter. And I'd watched that so many times. I was like, I got to try that just once before I go back on this chicken thing. So when my sous vide machine got here, I told myself I'm going to have one ribeye seared in butter, and then I'll go back to chicken. Well, as all, addicts do or whatever, I was lying to myself because I bought a pack of 4 ribeyes. So when I got home, I sous vide a ribeye and I seared it in butter, and I decided, well, to make the macros, I won't eat twice a day. I'll just eat once a day. I'll just have that ribeye and I won't have anything else. I'll just eat that ribeye sous vide in butter. And I did that. And after the first ribeye I ate, I felt amazing. Like my brain fog lifted that day. My mood was better. I had energy and I just felt really good. And I didn't know why. It didn't make sense, but I thought it was just a mental thing. I thought it was like a break from the chicken, and I was just mentally happy. So I ended up doing that for 4 days. And in that 4 days, because I went into ketosis by accident, I had never heard of the keto diet or the carnivore diet or anything. And I ended up in that 4 days, because my body got rid of a bunch of fluid, and then I know that now, but I lost 13 pounds in 4 days just eating ribeyes, And I was accidentally doing OMAD because I was only eating once a day, and I was only eating a ribeye seared in butter. And so actually it felt so good, and I had lost 13 pounds in 4 days after only losing 37 pounds in 14 months being miserable.
Wow.
And so I was like, what is this? So I started researching online. I just went to Google and I was like, why am I feeling so good just eating ribeyes seared in butter? And it brought up the keto diet. So then I just threw myself into learning about what the keto diet was. And then that put me into a couple of spouts of keto. But unfortunately, this is why I went carnivore and why I'm way more of a advocate for carnivore than keto, because when I got into the keto, then it got into I wasn't doing it right, because I got into all this liberal keto where everybody's doing like all the Atkins fat bombs and basically all this kind of dirty keto food, and that just wasn't good enough for me, but I didn't know it at the time. But at least it had my mind in the right direction. And when I was doing that, I was reading a book and watching videos from Dr. Jason Fung, who wrote the Diabetes Code about insulin resistance. And that really resonated with me because I always wondered why out of 6 kids, I'm the youngest of 6 kids. If you look at all my siblings, the first, my 2 oldest brothers were kind of skinny. And then as my mom kept having kids, the kids were getting bigger and bigger and bigger and having more weight problems. And in that book, he talked about how when your mother is eating a lot of sugar and processed foods, and if your mother has insulin resistance, well, she's, pregnant with you, that the baby will get inundated with a bunch of sugar and, glycogen, and that baby's pancreas will have to put out a bunch of insulin, and the baby actually becomes insulin resistant inside the womb. So when you're born, you come out already kind of addicted to sugar and already insulin resistant. So your body, you lose leptin sensitivity. Your body, stores fat and won't burn it and only makes energy out of carbohydrates, basically. And I think that's where I was. So that resonated with me. But one of the cures for getting your fasted insulin levels down is to fast for long periods of time. So in 2001, I decided to do a 40-day water fast. And I made it to day 21, and I got real sick. And wasn't sure why, but what ended up happening is I was dumb and I didn't do my research, and I wasn't taking electrolytes. I wasn't using any supplements. And so I got dangerously low on potassium. And what that did was, I guess if you get so low on potassium that it affects your blood plasma so that your red blood cells drop. And the problem I was having is I couldn't breathe. All of a sudden, it was like I was constantly having an asthma attack, and it happened out of nowhere. And it was because my red blood cells count dropped dramatically. So I had to go back on taking potassium and eating some. So I had to break my fast. But because that time, because my red blood cells were so low and I was sick, my immune system was compromised at the time, and I got COVID. And that was a nightmare because, there I was 600 and some pounds at the time. I'm not sure where, but I got COVID and it turned into pneumonia real bad. And I had a friend that had just gotten COVID a week before I did. And right as I was caught COVID, realized that it got to my lungs. He was 38 years old, healthy as a horse, and he had COVID and he went in the hospital. And I didn't really agree with the protocol at the time that the hospital had, but he went in the hospital and they gave him their protocol and put him on a respirator, and he died. And so at 38, he was way healthier than me. So I was like, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm not having that protocol. I didn't agree with it. I was worried that was going to do me in. So I stayed at home and did a protocol off of basically some doctors on YouTube that had an alternate protocol of ivermectin and a few different treatments. And I ended up having pneumonia for about 15, 16 days. And I had a terrible fever for 13 days. And I just used nebulizers to get the stuff out of my lungs. I was hanging off the edge of my bed, coughing all this blood up. I was literally coughing up blood for about the last 9 days of pneumonia. And I was just turning blue. But what ended up happening there was something went terribly wrong, because in like 3 weeks from that time, I gained 84 pounds in fluid. I started blowing up like a balloon. And my body was retaining fluid, and I just kept working on it. And I finally got over the COVID, but then I had this huge fluid problem, and I never felt worse. I think I sent you some of those pictures of when my face was all swollen up.
Yeah.
And that was when.
Is that with the breathing tubes?
Yeah, because then they had after that. So what ended up happening is my lungs got all scarred up, and I ended up with congestive heart failure, lymphedema, and scarred up lungs, and I had to be on oxygen 24/7. And I ballooned up well over 700 pounds at that time. And I ended up getting stuck in a chair because I couldn't lay down because I'd stopped breathing. And I couldn't get off the oxygen. I couldn't stand for, even 90 seconds, and couldn't do anything, I was
How long were you in the chair?
Basically, I was already pretty much in that chair before, when I was trying to get this weight off, because my health was really declining from the oxygen stuff, even before COVID and after that. But I was in that chair about 2.5 years total, from just before COVID till after COVID. I'd only been out of the house twice in that time, just in both of them, or go to the hospital. And it was absolutely miserable, and didn't think I was making it out of that. They put me on oxygen home. I was on 5 liters of oxygen 24/7, and sat there, and I was kind of just waiting to see if I was going to die, basically, the way it was feeling, and the dire the situation got. And then I kind of got out of the doldrums, but then it'd been about 4 months or so, 4 to 6 months. I can't really remember the timeline exactly, but that I'd gotten past COVID, but the oxygen was a real problem, because I wasn't even on oxygen yet at that time, because I hadn't been back to the hospital. And but then something happened. I kept, as it turned out, I found out I had sleep apnea real bad, and I didn't know it, on top of everything. And so I was used to waking up confused and having this terrible headache and being dizzy, and I didn't know what it was from. And I wasn't sleeping good ever. I would wake up. That was something that's happened to me for 10, 20 years. I don't know. I don't know when I actually ever got good sleep, but one night it was real bad. I woke up and I had the worst headache I had ever had, and I was confused. I didn't even know where I was. And I checked my oxygen because I had one of those pulse oxys you put on your finger, and my oxygen was at like 62 or 64%. And I had it get low before, but not that low. And that time it took like 6 hours for me to kind of get my bearings back. But my lungs just wouldn't kick back in that day. They just wouldn't work, even. So I
I've had
finally
that
had to go.
too.
Oh, have you had that before?
Yeah, your lungs just won't start back up, man.
No, they just didn't work. And so, I mean, the whole day it just felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. I was just blue. My oxygen was like in the low 70s or high 60s, and it was real bad. And so I ended up having to go to the emergency room, and then they kept me in there for 10 or 11 days and had me on oxygen. And then they gave me a bunch of Lasix and got like 60 some pounds of fluid off me while I was in there. And at that time, I didn't really count that, but I think I can't even remember, but I was well over 700 pounds. I could have been 750 at that time, but I was just a giant water balloon. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. But they got that off me, and they set me up with oxygen. And so I came home with oxygen. That's when I got on oxygen pretty well. And then after that, my dad had passed away a few years earlier, but he had sleep apnea. And so the VA, he always got his CPAP stuff through the VA hospital, but they had sent him a new CPAP machine because his other one had expired, Mm-hmm. And I just thought, I wonder if I have sleep apnea, and so this new CPAP machine was there. So I looked up on YouTube how to program it, and so I programmed the CPAP machine and I started using it. And the second night that I used it, it was crazy. I had never slept so hard or so good in my life. And I realized, yeah, I definitely had sleep apnea. I fell asleep and I woke up and I thought that I'd slept for 15 hours or something. And I'd only slept for 3 hours, and it was the craziest. And I realized that I don't know that I'd been sleeping for 10 years, or more, So that actually helped a fair amount. And that gave me enough energy and kind of kept me between that oxygen and the CPAP machine, it kept me healthy enough that I could put my mind back into, fixing my diet again. And so I just poured myself into learning about keto and doing it real strict and serious. And so I actually started what I would say ketovore, because it was basically carnivore plus cruciferous vegetables and olive oil. But I was eating cheese at the time. And that was September 29th of 2022 that I did that. And then I was basically ketovore until January 1st, and then I went full carnivore. And actually I went so full on carnivore, I got rid of everything. I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is the BBB thing,
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And that's all I'm doing. And I'm doing OMAD. So I only eat once a day. And that
I'm just doing MAD. I'm eating many meals a day. I eat all damn day, man. I eat till I'm full every time, and like 3 hours later, I'm flipping hungry again, man. I eat like a horse now.
Well, that's awesome, and that's what I found out too. Because there's still that brainwashing in my head that I needed to pay attention to portions and calories and all that stuff at first, but then I was losing weight and I was losing fluid and I was getting better and my oxygen was getting better and weight was coming off of me left and right. And so then I wanted to weigh, and this is how I ended up coming up with 715 pounds. Was my legs were so big, my calves were so swelled up from the fluid. Each one of my calves was 35 inches in diameter. And so my legs were over 3 feet apart. And I couldn't get them together, so I couldn't even. I bought this scale that off of Amazon goes up to 770 pounds, but I couldn't get my feet on it because they're so far apart because of my
Mm.
calves that I had to be on. I had to lose weight and fluid for 4 months before I could even make my feet get on the scale. And then when I was trying, the first time I was trying that scale, I still have it because it has a readout, but it also talks to you and tells you your weight. And when I stood on it finally, and I barely got both feet on there, the LCD screen on it cracked and broke. And I was like, oh my gosh, might be time for an intervention, Big T. You're breaking 770 pound scale. And it cracked, but so another month later, I finally was able to get on there and I could hear it tell me my weight. And it was at that time when I could finally get on it, it was 647 pounds.
Wow.
And so I was able to work backwards on, I kept track how much weight I lost for the next 5 months. And then I took that average and worked backwards for those beginning 4 months. And that's how I came up with 715 pounds. But in all reality, I bet it was more because you lose more fluid at first, So it was probably more, but I don't know, to be honest with you, because it took me that long to get my legs small enough to get on that dang scale and be able to stand. But man, once I got that thing rolling and got that fluid off, then I started breathing, and then everything just went crazy. And pretty soon, after 8 months, I didn't need the oxygen anymore. And you know what's crazy? Is that when I was 18 years old, my oxygen was 88%, and I couldn't get it above it. And now, at basically 490 pounds, I had lost even been way lighter than that. It was 88%. Now at 490 pounds, my oxygen's 96% on average. I mean, just
That's
huge
amazing.
difference. Yeah, I mean, just totally healed everything. And my lymphedema is gone now. My congestive heart failure is gone now. My insulin resistance, I have leptin sensitivity back. I'm completely mobile now. I have no problem walking. I just got everything back, and now I'm walking on the treadmill. I have no carb cravings. I'm never hungry. And I only eat once a day because that's what I got used to. But if I get hungry, I'll gladly eat twice a day. I'm just never hungry anymore. I have no soda cravings. My skin is so much better. I don't know if you saw those pictures, the ones used for that. You could see how terrible and puffed up and inflamed and swollen my skin was in that those first pictures. And you got to remember those pictures. My biggest regret is I didn't take pictures when I was at my worst because, well, one, I couldn't stand up to get in front of a mirror or even think about taking them. And two, I thought I was dying. I wasn't exactly in a picture taking mood, But yeah, that picture they used here today, that was actually when I was only like probably 650 pounds. And that was after I realized something amazing was happening, that I'm pulling out of this, and I wanted to finally start documenting it, So I
That's
started
amazing.
taking pictures right then. But yeah, I mean, just complete and total life-changing turnaround, And now, like I tell everybody, the reason why I wanted to get the message to Bill when I saw him was because it hit so close to home. When I saw him on Kerry, because it was just, at the time, like, 10 months earlier, I thought I was dying and I couldn't get out of my chair. Hadn't left the house. I mean, all that stuff hit real close to home. And, I was just like, man, this guy's got to know that this is, this isn't like all the other diets. This isn't like it's not even a diet. It's an actual cure. That's why I named my channel The Carnivore Cure, because I'm not dieting. I'm cured. This is a new freedom, a new way of life, because I'm just never hungry. I'm never, all the other starvation diets and calorie restrictive diets and portion control diets and standard American, balanced diet, yada crap that they were pushing all the time. Every time I was on one of those, you'd wake up every morning and go, I hope to God I don't fall off the wagon today. You'd go to bed dreaming about food. You're hungry all the time and miserable. And you were just waiting for the shoe to drop. You're just waiting for the day that it all came off the rails and went back, and you gained all the weight plus some back and got even sicker and weaker and tireder,
Yeah.
But this time I don't worry about that ever. I wake up excited to see how much stronger I got today, how much more muscle I put on today, how much better I feel, how much more mobile I'm going to be today, how much better my attitude and brain is. Not to mention, I was suicidally depressed before, and I'm not being hyperbolic. Like, there's a few times that it's amazing I'm still here. So I talk myself out of some things, and I have zero depression at all. I have zero anxiety. I had crippling anxiety when I was going through that. And I had no idea that was just hormones. It was absolutely just hormones. Insulin is such a dominant hormone that messes up all your hormones. My hormones were just, an absolute dumpster fire. And I didn't know it at the time, but I have none of that. My head works so much better now. My focus is so much better now. I wake up with, tons of enthusiasm and for the day and what I'm going to do. I have so much more energy now. It's just incredible. It's an absolute, I've never felt this mentally good or really even physically good, even when I was 18 years old. Even when I did get down to 337 pounds, I didn't feel this good, And this time, too, the body composition is way different. I'm not lifting weights, and my arms put on a ton of muscle. My shoulders put on a ton of muscles. My chest, my legs, muscle just flew on. And now I have so much more strength and stamina. It's just ridiculous, to go from wondering how you're going to make it to the bathroom without dying, to just everything being easier, everything being, now you can think about a future. You can think about doing stuff, Or before I didn't, I was just hoping I woke up the next day, for a long time, just something as simple as getting in the car and going to town. I couldn't even fit in my car back then. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think you definitely got a lot of relatability to Bill, not just with your story, but dude, you are a hell of a storyteller, man. I could listen to you all day, man. You're like, I love listening to you. Like, that's why I just didn't want to say nothing, because I'm like, man, you're doing a great job, man. Let's get a couple comments, and then we'll get a couple more questions going.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Oh, absolutely.
Low Carb Carnivore says, I was a duoholic. Any Mountain Dew when you were drinking it?
Oh, yeah. Tons. Tons.
Limitless Lindy. Yes, the food freedom on carnivore is so powerful. Yeah. Do you feel like you've got more freedom now, even though you just eat pretty much, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs?
Seriously. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I tell people that all the time. They, because obviously I'm so excited about carnivore. I talk to everybody about it. We probably get sick of it, but, people say, well, it's just so restrictive. It's not sustainable. And I'm like, that's such nonsense, because if you could feel how good I feel right now, from where I was to where I am right now, you would know that there's not a carbohydrate or a can of soda on the planet that is worth it or tastes as good as this feels,
Man, I couldn't have said it any better. Telling you, man, you are just killing it on carnivore. You got the glow. You're getting the results, man. Like, you're sharp as a Ginsu blade, man.
Well, and that's a real thing too. The glow that you're talking about. That's what my brothers see, because now my sisters. So my mom had gastric bypass and it failed. She lost a little bit of weight, but she still struggled with weight. She's on carnivore. My sister, she's had a huge weight problem. She's a short gal, but she's over 300 pounds. She's on carnivore now. I think this is month 4, and she's lost 51 pounds.
Wow.
She's never been able to stick to a diet.
I'll have her on next.
Yeah, no joke. And she's walking and moving. She's got a bunch of arthritis and hip problems, She's 10 years older than me. She's 50. I'm 40. But yeah, she didn't think, she had tried everything, and she was deathly afraid of diets because they're so miserable, and she's always failed them. And I've been talking to her, and she finally hopped on it, and she's kind of ketovore right now, but
Mhm.
she's kind of easing into it. But man, it's funny now to listen to her talk because now she's talking my ear off about how awesome, how awesome
Carnivore
it
is.
is. Yeah, and she's just going off on it. And so it's funny because we talk about, different meals she can have and what the next step is. And she's like, yeah, it's crazy. Like I'll just all of a sudden, before she couldn't, she had to really think about how to get out of her chair and how bad her hips were going to hurt and stuff. And now she's like, now I just get up and I have so much energy and I sleep so good at night and my mood's so much better and the anxiety's gone. Like, I know it's real. My brother, he didn't have such a weight problem, but he had neurological problems and he's been on it. And that's why me and him talk all the time, because what I noticed is when you looked in my face before, I had dark circles. There was no life in me. My skin was pale. My skin was terrible. And now when I it's kind of vain, but I like looking in the mirror because I'm looking in my eyes and I see life in there.
Mhm.
I see this weird glow about my skin and my face, and just whatever's in my eyes is totally different. I don't know. That had been, dim or dead for, I feel like 10 years, and now I look and I'm like, this is a new person. This is a totally different person I'm looking at, and it's just the energy and the enthusiasm and the excitement for the day. I get so much more work done now. I, get,
Me
I have
too.
so much more focus. It's incredible, you
Me
know?
too. Stay strong, live long says totally relate to the sweet cravings not going away until eliminating artificial sweeteners. That's a key thing for some folks.
For sure. Hey, Rod,
Low carb carnivore, I'm going to give it up starting tomorrow.
you could do it, man, and you'll never regret it. I swear to you.
Limitless Lindy, I have to abstain from anything sweet. Yeah, everybody's a little bit different, so just do whatever works good for you. Keto Vorgonian, love that name. Good evening from the PNW. Eating some beef patties. What's everyone else eating? I just bought bone-in ribeyes on sale for $10 a pound. Nice. That'll be for next week's meals. Woohoo. What did you eat tonight, Todd?
So yesterday in fact, it was funny. I set an alarm clock and I got up at midnight last night to put a 7-pound chuck roast in the slow cooker. And I do I sear it on all sides, put it in the slow cooker. I use kettle and fire bone broth. And I put bone broth and pink Himalayan salt on it. And then I slow cook it for 9 hours. And then literally the only thing that I'm not sure about in my diet, but I've been playing with it a little bit, is xanthan gum, because I don't know if you know what that is, but basically it's a lot of people on keto and carnivore use it, but it's kind of like gelatin in a way, but it'll thicken the broth.
Hmm.
And the reason why I really like it is because when I make those, I love the slow cooked pot roast, but the fat floats on top of the broth. They separate.
Mm-hmm.
And when you use xanthan gum, it emulsifies the fat and bonds it with the broth and makes like a gravy out of it.
Oh.
And so I've been playing with that because I really enjoy it, because it makes it a lot, it just makes a nice gravy out of it instead of the fat being separated. But I'm not having any problems with it. So I've been taking it very cautiously, because that's literally the only somewhat, you could call it a processed whatever food. But I see that a lot of people use it on carnivore and keto. So I actually put it up on my Instagram and asked everybody if they have any issues with it. And so far, people said no, that
So far, so good.
yep, it's been fine. So that's what I had today.
Low carb carnivore, I'm eating a ribeye and shrimp. There you go.
Oh, nice.
Keto Vorgonian, I have been Diet Coke free for 6 days. Good for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Man, everybody's killing it on carnivore. Todd is just, man, he's killing it, man. He's glowing, he's sharp, like it's just nothing like you look at the thumbnail for this live stream. He's got the breathing tubes in, like, man, I'm proud of you, man. You look amazing, dude.
I appreciate it, man. I got a new life, a new shot, man.
Yeah, you do, man. Keto Vorgoni, I have some scallops I was planning on cooking with some steak. Nice.
Ooh.
Still early for me to eat. I do have a brisket roasting in the oven for later. Limitless Lindy.
Ooh, brisket's awesome.
Cooking the brisket. Oh, here we go. Here's Rick here. I am trying to clear out the junk in my home. Hey, yeah. my coach says you got to make room for the good you want, you know, and that's part of sacrifice. You let go of something of a lower nature to receive something of a higher nature. And there, you know, when you get something better for something that you didn't really want, you know, how is that really a sacrifice then, right?
Oh, totally.
Amber and Dan's Carnivore Life. Hey JT, hey Todd. Hey, you guys, if you have a question for Todd, he's here live in the flesh. He's got a story very similar to Bill. A hell of a story, man. So if you guys need any sort of tips or something, this is the guy, man. You know, he's been to the brinks, you know, and he's been to the like me, man. He's pretty much heard what the gates sound like, the heaven's gates. So, and we've come back. So if you got any questions, hit him up right now. Hey, we're brisket buddies, Lindy. I cooked a brisket in the pressure cooker last night. Do you use a pressure cooker at all,
Oh
Todd?
yeah, yep, I do, but I actually prefer sous vide over pressure cookers. I prefer the slow methods. You could take like a 15-pound brisket, and I like to you cold smoke them at 90 degrees for about 4 hours and get a good smoke ring on them, and then you sous vide them for 70 hours,
Hmm.
and then you take a torch and you sear them when you get them out of there, and that's the best brisket I've ever had in my life because you got the smoke, you got the sear, but it is the most tender, juicy brisket you've ever had in your life.
And you gotta start. You got videos up on the sous vide?
Not yet. So I've only got 4 videos up. One of them was kind of my introduction, and
Let's
then
pull up your channel while you're talking about it.
yeah.
You
So
guys,
I'm
make sure
very
you
new.
go subscribe here.
Well, I would appreciate it, man. Yeah. So so the last video I had a subscriber asking me how to get started basically, and so I made a video on how I would do it again. You know, if I knew everything when I was starting that I know now, how I would do it.
How to get
And
started on the carnivore diet, part 1. There you go.
yep, and so I'm planning on doing a series on that because I'm trying to help a fella that his name's Mark from Canada get off the ground. And one of the things I said in that video that kind of pertains to the sugar addiction is that I really feel like good clean keto can be very very effective. I believe that kind of ketovore, but I think the liberal keto is where people get stuck, and definitely where I got stuck in because I've read quite a few books about how there are neurological pathways that are actually grown when you make new habits. I think they say that if you repeat a behavior for 7 minutes and 20 seconds every day is the minimum, but if you repeat a behavior for 7 minutes and 20 seconds every day for 40 days, your brain grows a new neuron, a neurological pathway for that habit in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And that you have to let that die. And not only is the behavior that like, let's say that, you have a favorite food like soda. Well, not only is that soda causing the habit and the addiction, but it's also the ritual and the behavior, like let's say you have your first soda every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock, whatever it is, just that ritual and behavior, even if you're drinking something different, can keep a habit alive, And so I think you have to separate yourself as far from that as you can, to let that habit die and really break off. So I think it's a mistake to take all your old life habits and hang-ups and try to make like keto versions of them.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think it just keeps them alive, and you're actually kind of prolonging the misery, where if you just get away from it and you completely stop the ritual and everything, then I think that you can I think that's how you actually make behavioral change, to be honest with you, is when you just let that whole ritual and that whole habit completely break down.
Yep.
And you make completely new ones that don't stimulate that old pathway,
Yep. You build you to replace an existing model, you have to build a new model.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep, that's what my coach taught me. Amber and Dan's Carnivore Life, all those packaged keto foods are just gateway back to the garbage foods, or as Craig and Michael would say, the rubbish.
Exactly.
From across the pond. I had them on the other day. They kept saying rubbish. I love it, man. Limitless Lindy. Oh, cool. I've cooked a brisket in a slow cooker, but in the oven on I love the crunchy bits on the base. Yummo.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah, it's like
Burnt ends.
candy. Yeah. Charger Mopar Rick, he is a 40-year carnivore, man. He does not play. I
Oh,
only eat one ingredient foods. Yep.
Rick, Rick, I'm a fellow Mopar guy. We're huge Mopar guys in my family. My brother's got a 69 Charger and a 73 Cuda.
Really? Yeah, then you and Rick would, I think you guys would have a lot to talk about, man, honestly. Limitless 21-day fast. Wow, the longest I have done was 72-hour.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to. I forget the fella's name right now, but there's that guy that lost like 300 pounds, I think, or 300. He fasted. He didn't eat anything for like 400 days, 420 some days, and he lost all the weight. And he was taking supplements, but it was actually a case study, and it was pretty amazing because one really interesting thing that happens is when you're in a fast that long, your body's in a state of autophagy. And so what was amazing was when you're in a state of autophagy, your body basically breaks down dead and dormant proteins and repurposes them. And so he had no loose skin. His body ate all the loose skin for that 400 days. So to be perfectly honest with you, I was shooting for 40 days, but if I had made it, I was going to see how long I could go and see if I could keep feeling healthy, but I did it like an idiot. Like an idiot, didn't take any electrolytes.
Well, at least you learned, and now you're giving good advice to anybody who might try it, and maybe they won't do it the wrong way, right?
Oh, totally.
Oh, I just missed this one. Sorry. Limitless Lindy, fluid in your limbs is so painful too, right? You can
Very
attest to that one. Let's speed read through some of these. Scallops. What do you think on scallops, Todd?
I honestly, so I'm so far away from any oceans. I'm in Montana. I don't do fish or seafood. The only fish I like is salmon.
She says, "Oh, me too. The delete button was my best friend. I don't have many pictures either." Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're not feeling confident in, your best version of you, you don't really want to commemorate that, right?
No, and I mean honestly, when I looked in the mirror or saw a picture, that wasn't the guy that I was in my head, So it was like I was looking at a disappointment or a stranger. It was miserable.
Hey, we got a good one. Janet, Carnivore Cure. I've been watching you for a few days and you have encouraged me so much. I'll be glad when cravings are no longer. Thanks.
Oh
Oh,
man,
that's
I
great.
sure appreciate that. That's huge because that's exactly what I was hoping to do. I've only had a channel for 15 days, and I figured if I could help one person, that would make this worth it.
Oh, man, you're such a sweet guy. And Janet, you're such a sweet lady. You
I
guys send
appreciate
him some
it.
questions here while I got him live in the flesh. I know I'm getting behind, but I'm trying to catch up here. We got to catch up, Todd.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, day 33 for me. Okay, cool. Thanks. Oh, here we go. Thanks for doing this too, JT. You're a great support to the whole community. Oh, you guys,
Totally.
I was almost so dumb that I wouldn't even be here right now, but luckily God has given me a second chance, so I am just honored to be here with Todd and share his story.
I appreciate it, man.
We need a live keto carnivore calendar. LO. I struggle with being late for everything. Yeah, you gotta check out my lives and then schedule them all in there because you're gonna come back, right, for an update. I asked that for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. I firmly hope, or my plan is to be another 200 pounds down by July, and I'll definitely come back.
You can do
Before then.
Oh, before then. Yeah, hopefully you come this Friday. I'm having a hangout tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. I got a live stream tomorrow, but
mine's at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Oh yeah, I can come. Yeah, I'll come in after that live stream. Yep.
Okay, let's start getting to some of these questions, guys. Send them the questions here. Question: I have bad. What is that? Edema?
Yeah. Edema is swelling in the legs. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm wet behind the ears, Todd. I am giving up the 0 sugar drinks next month. I'm hoping that helps with the edema and the weight loss because I eat pretty clean besides that. What do you think, Todd?
Oh, absolutely. So I didn't get the fluid started coming off. Because I was drinking diet sodas before I did that lemonade thing. Made the sparkling lemonade. I was drinking those diet fruity ice drinks, and I was drinking diet soda, and the fluid was absolutely miserable. Once I got full carnivore and the inflammation starts, the inflammation holds the inflam your lymph node drainage system does not work when you have insulin spikes, and so your lymphedema, or your, what do you call it, lymph node or whatever, lymphatic is the word I'm looking for. Your lymphatic drainage system gets plugged up when you're drinking that stuff. I just found out. I'll want to do a follow up. I just started a new supplement today, a regimen plan so there's a guy on YouTube, his name is Dr. Darren Schmidt, and oddly enough, when I told you I researched keto for the first time after those ribeyes, he was the first guy I ever found, and he's pretty amazing. He's out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, so I actually just had a telephone consultation, and he correctly identified that I had a lymphatic drainage problem, so he put me on a regimen of some supplements. So I'll definitely be checking back to let you know how much that helped my lymph or whatever my drainage. I keep screwing up that word.
No, I'm with you, and that's important because people are suffering with it. Great idea, low carb corn. I had severe edema in my legs, so painful. Massive improvement since being carnivore. I do find dairy can be inflaming. What do you think about dairy inflaming that?
Yeah, that was one thing I meant to mention. When I switched from ketovore to carnivore, I got rid of all the dairy. That was one thing. I got rid of all the cheese. I was eating cheese and sour cream and cottage cheese and everything, and I kicked that on January 1st, and I haven't had any dairy since, not even cream in the coffee or anything.
That's great. Tracy says, hi, carnivore friends.
Howdy.
Yeah, howdy, Tracy. Low carb carnivore. Yeah, I may quit dairy as well.
Yeah, I think it was a big step in the right direction for me.
See if you guys could put a Q in front of your questions, that would be awesome because it helps me find it a little bit easier. Let's see. Brisket, 4 hours smoked, 70 hours. What is that? Do you know what that is?
Sous vide.
Sous vide. Okay, I've never heard that term until you talked. I thought it was like SUV. My God, I was like, okay, you sous vide it. Then sear with a torch. I have got to try that. What kind of torch do you use, Todd?
So where I'm from, we call it a weed burner. So it's one you hook up to a full size, like, I don't know, 5-gallon propane tank, and where we're from, you get them at like the ranch and home supplies, and they're for setting weed fires, but they work amazing to torch your briskets,
Mm.
So, but you can also use the Searsall. Searsall's work, they're just slower.
Great tip, man. Low carb carnivore. I have an awesome quote I want to share with you all. If you think the price of winning is too high, wait until you get the bill from regret. You got that right.
That's amazing.
You want to live your life with no regrets, because one day we're going to be stuck in a wheelchair and we might not even be able to use the bathroom ourselves. And you're really only going to have what's left in your mind.
Totally.
And you don't want to be tortured with regrets. You're going to want to relive all these beautiful memories of wild things that you were like, screw it, let's do it, man. And you can relive it. Even if it didn't work out, you can be like, you know what? Even it's like going to a Super Bowl. Someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. But I'm sure losing at the Super Bowl is still way more fun than never making it to the Super Bowl. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure.
Low carb. I want to try a torch for my ribeyes to better sear the fat. See, now you're gonna have everybody cooking with a torch, man.
They work great, man, especially when you're doing sous vide.
Carnivore Kip, how you doing, my brother? Stopping to say hello, guys. Yeah, Kip would be another one, man. He's got good energy. I like Kip.
Yeah, I love his content. I'm a subscriber.
Okay, good. Yes. And you guys, make sure you subscribe to Todd's channel as well. The Carnivore Cure at The Carnivore Cure. Yes. So make sure you hit that. The quote hit me hard when I first heard it. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good one. That's a real good one. Kip, what you cooking? Brisket in the oven.
Everybody's doing brisket today.
Briskets. I just talked to Kerry today. He says when I come out to the homestead, we're gonna have ribeyes.
Oh, nice.
So I'm excited for that. Time travel. Congratulations, inspiring story. Yeah, dude, he's an inspiring dude, man.
Thank you
I
very
mean,
much.
from 715, you know. He says Mopar or no car.
No car, no car, baby. That's a fact.
Oh, Rick, dude, man. I love Rick, dude.
No car, no
He's
car.
my type of guy, man. Carnivore Kip. It is better in the oven than you didn't smoke one right. Oh, them are barbecue and fighting words.
He ain't wrong though.
Right. Kip says, "Catch me, man, if you got smoke, right? If you want the smoke, he'll smoke that ass." I already got the bill for regret. Yeah, send it back and do whatever you haven't done yet. Send the bill back. Tell him you weren't ready yet to pay the bill. Howdy everyone. Carnivore Scott, how you doing, bud?
Hey guys.
Yeah, you guys put a Q in front of the question for Todd here. Now that bill is motivation. Yep. Yeah, he
Bill's
I'm telling
amazing.
you two are very kindred spirits. I could tell, man. Just wait till you guys
Bill's a good dude, man. He
yep.
can. I love his content. He's so, he's so genuine.
Right. B Meetsy, I hope I'm saying that right. Hey JT, who's your proctor coach? His name is Bob Proctor, Bob, and then Proctor. Look him up on YouTube. I'm telling you, man, it's going to be hard for you to sleep tonight because you're going to see and hear so many beautiful things just on his YouTube channel. He's passed away now, but he's still alive in my heart, and we're all spiritual beings in a physical body. So he's just left his body, just like he came into his body when he was a baby, and he's out there somewhere floating around. And I'm sure he's in the other world teaching them about vibrations and frequencies still. But it's Bob Proctor. Carnivore backwards. John, how you doing? Day 183, down 65 pounds. Man,
Nice.
good for you, John. Get it,
Killing
man.
it, John.
Get it, John. Carnivore Scott, I trust everyone is doing well. Yeah, I'm doing real good, man.
Doing great.
Man, how could you go wrong? I got my drink and I got my little twisty straw.
Got the twisty straw.
Mm-hmm. I'm living life, man. I almost died. You best believe I'm going to use a twisty straw, and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. JT, you have some of the best guests, and your interviews are great. Oh, thank you. You know, I've got some of the best guests because carnivores are really some of the best folks I've been meeting, man. When you start to feel good from the nutrition you're eating, I feel like it makes you want to spread the joy.
I know.
You didn't even experience yourself before. So like you couldn't spread it before, you know what I'm saying? But now that you're experiencing, like you want to share.
Totally.
You know?
I've been telling my people that, these doctors that are telling us that we're all going to kill ourselves on this red meat diet, that they're following their own diet and they need an intervention because they're all depressed and have anxiety and depression.
Yeah, I feel bad for them when, and then too, Rick was saying, people that are obese, and on the regular standard American diet, they just can't eat as much as us carnivores. So we get to eat more and we lose weight while we're doing it. Like,
totally.
And I feel good while I'm eating. Like, man, I am just, man, it's a winning lottery ticket, man. Anybody who's got carnivore, that brings me to one of my questions I had for you, Todd. Would you take $1 million, hell, even $2 million? I'll give you $20 million. Would you take $20 million to stop doing carnivore and go back to your old way of eating?
No, I wouldn't.
20 million, Todd? Come on.
Not a chance. Honest to God, I really truly believe that if I hadn't changed right when I did, I don't know that I would have made it this far.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, I got that question from Dave Mack. I'm telling you, dude, it's a great question. Like, would you take that $1 million to go back? And I wouldn't either, man. Like, and it's, to me, if Now, some people might be like, well, that's a biased question. You know, they're on carnivore. No, like he said, it's actually not. You've been on carnivore, so you should you should be able to best tell me whether you're sick of it and you're like, if it's a joke, it's a hoax, and you'd say, yeah, give me the million, I'm out of here. But you've
Yeah,
been on it. You've
I
been
mean,
on
if you, you know, I mean, and everybody has their own, you know, struggle, but you know, I was in a place where I was praying to only weigh 500 pounds. Like that would have been a giant win to only weigh 500 pounds just to get.
You're under that now.
Hmm.
See,
That's what
Todd, I just want to bring something up quick. I think it's important that all of us remember there was a version of you that hadn't even started carnivore and wanted to start carnivore. Then when you started, there was a version of you that wanted to be under 500. Now you're under 500. Like, I just feel like we need to remember the old version of ourselves that wanted to be exactly where we're at right now. And
Totally.
although we always keep changing, now we want to be in a different spot, but to be successful, we have to stay connected to gratitude. And the best way to do that is just to remember your old self, you know, because there was a version of me that was like, man, I'm on day 70 or something. Like I couldn't even imagine 70-day me. So I
right.
just try to remember that version of me, that old version of me, and it just makes me so thankful for where I'm at right now. It's just a tip for everybody, a gratitude tip.
Yeah, very, very good advice too.
Who's your carnivore? You are, man. Who's your carnivore? Who's your mama? Who's your daddy? How you doing, bud? He's scheduled for an interview, man. It's gonna be fun. Can't wait to get to know you better, bud. No Insanity. Renee, how you doing? Carnivore Scott, what part does the heart play in it? Okay, they must be having a thing. You guys put a Q in front of your questions here while I have him still. We're a little over. Is that okay? Do you still got some time, or do you got to run?
Oh, I got no place I'd rather be, man.
Okay, cool. Then we'll keep trying to catch up here. JT, love the way you do your interviews, and thank you to Carnivore Cure for sharing his amazing journey. Wow. Yeah, you
Thank
know,
very much.
he's making this good, and he reached out to me. You guys, he was just like you guys watching the Chatting with Carnivores, and Todd was in the live stream, and I'm glad he got all up in my live stream because now I'm gonna be bothering him all the time, man. I'm gonna be, you know, keep him in my life here. I like guys like him.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, man, it's not a problem here. Let's keep going here. Whoops. I'm smoking a pork butt this weekend. Hey,
Oh, nice.
his ass never had a chance. Put down the biscuit and pick up the brisket. Ooh,
There you go. That's
now
gonna be a keeper.
make that a carnivore T-shirt, man.
Yeah.
Send that one to Carrie Scott. Put down the biscuit and pick up the brisket. Carrie, he said he's gonna watch this later anyway, so he'll see it. Carrie, make that a shirt. I have a CHF. Do you know what that is?
I do not know what that is.
And when my legs get started leaking a lot, my doctor handed me a form for a handicap tag and said it's just all part of it. He is
Right.
fired now. Yeah, no, never accept stuckedness. Okay, never hang around people who are. If you're not doing well, the last thing you want to do is hang around people who are going to sympathize with you. And I say that because when someone sympathizes with you and you're not in a good vibration, all that does is throw more bad energy on top of the bad energy already in. And then it kind of makes you want to say, well, they're validating the way I'm feeling, so maybe I'll just stay in this bad mood all day because someone said it, they understood why I'm in a bad mood. Nah, man,
Right.
life's too damn short. You're alive. Snap out of it. Go smell some roses, like Rick says. Go feed some ducks. You know, like you know, it's life is to be lived. Here we got a cue. I know who Bob is. Do you have a personal living coach? Oh, I have. No, I don't. I just listened to Bob, and then that was it, man. It maybe, you know, I was thinking about reaching out to the Proctor Gallagher Institute and you know, maybe you know, being part of the company one day. We'll see. I do like Sandy though. I would love to work right next with Sandy. I want to go big or go home. I don't really want to. Arash is good too. He's one of the coaches there. How do you all drink your water? Hot, cold, a mix? Do you have lemon juice still? Well, you could probably hear mine. That's a lot of ice in there. So I drink mine as cold as I. What about you, Todd?
Yeah, I love ice so much that I bought a commercial ice maker because I go through it by the gallons now. So I gotta have it packed with ice. But I don't do the lemon juice anymore. But I do. I got this jug here. It's a gallon jug, and I fill that up twice a day. Once with electrolytes, and then once without. And I drink it 2 gallons a day now.
Yeah, and I suggest you guys live a little and get yourself one of these
Did
twisty
you?
straws.
Yeah,
Life is too short, man, to use a regular straw.
you gotta have a
Listen to
little
me, guys.
bling.
I'm telling you, man, who cares what people thinks, man? When you're dead and they're dead, who cares, man? Live your life. Who cares what people think, man? Get a twisty straw. Get a nice hat like we got. You know, mine's got handprints. He's got what brand was that you said?
Oh, it's a Resistol.
Man, I'm telling you, he knows his hats. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a Resistol fan for sure.
Well, keep it resisting not having style because you got style right now. So, JT, you have amazing interview skills, great approach, direct questions. Yeah, and it's easy when I got seriously, man. You remind me, Todd. You remind me a lot of Bill. You are a great storyteller, and if people aren't subscribed to your channel, they're really missing out, man. Because
I sure appreciate it, man.
he can tell some story, guys. I'm telling you, just the way you told your own story was so fluid. I really didn't even have to ask you questions. You were like a ballerina out there, man. It was very smooth.
Appreciate it.
No insanity. Renee, 7 messed up discs, bad hips and foot, didn't take very good care of myself. You know, we all can look back with 2020 and beat ourselves, or 2020 vision and beat ourselves up, but
And you gotta know that's curable. Like my brother that's on carnivore has spinal stenosis, and the carnivores made it so much better. He did just go get stem cells too, but that's totally healing up, and he's got a whole new shot at it. And then my sister's got what do you call it? Herniated discs and terrible arthritis, and she's walking so much better now on carnivore. It's amazing.
that's great. That is great. Let's keep going down here. I'm trying to get my big fingers on this little button here. Let's see. Low carb says it's crazy how the weight sneaks up on you. It's almost like you wake up one morning obese. Yeah, man, because I think it's the brain fog. You know, it keeps you not totally connected to what's going on every day. The next thing you know, you look in the mirror and you're like, holy shit, who am I looking at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I could have a whole hour conversation about how absolutely convincing and deceiving it is when you get in that depression. How I had to start writing myself notes because I'd be lifted out of it and I would have a totally different view and I would see things for what they were, but then it would come back on. And I had to go read my notes that I made when I was out of that fog and remind myself why I was doing this because it was like I was a different person when that depression and anxiety would kick in.
That's a great tip, everybody. Journal. Because I journal. I try to do it every day. I'm not that good. I'm not perfect, obviously, but I try to journal like fun things my son is doing. He's 1.5, so you know, like the other day he tried to say cookie and he said ookie, and it was just so cute, man. I wrote it in my journal. I was like, dude, my son just said ookie. And then we went to the zoo and he said llama for the first time. He said grandma for the first time. Like, it's amazing. Let's grow a brain cell here, Todd. CHF is congestive heart failure.
Oh, there you go.
See, you guys just watched me and Todd grow a brain cell right there, man.
There you go. I need that.
It
Yeah.
didn't hurt that bad, did it? Growing that brain cell, did it hurt?
I don't think mine's fully formed yet.
No, but that one cell, did it hurt to grow that one? That mean you just grew that one. It didn't hurt me, so I think people should open the books more, man. It doesn't hurt to grow a brain cell. It really doesn't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who are you laughing at, time traveler? What time have you traveled from? I've always been, I see your name pop up all the time, and I'm wondering what year you're from. Oh, I am going for stem cell in April. Well, good luck.
Oh, awesome. They work. They really do.
It is a healer this way of eating. Yes. Okay, here we go. We got a question. You guys, Todd is waiting for the questions here. Question: where did she get the stem cell therapy at?
My brother's the one that got stem cell therapy, but he got it in. So there's a chiropractor in here called We Care Chiropractic in Bozeman, Montana. Now I think I know why you're asking that question is because you're wondering about like the Panama Stem Cell Institute. So the Stem Cell Institute, can put it in your blood, where in the United States they can only put it in the tissue, but according to my brother's stem cell doctor, they just won basically a lawsuit or something where they're going to now be able to put it in your blood.
Hmm.
But there's still a little bit of a difference. If you go to Panama, Panama has identified a certain protein marker in the stem cells that are way more effective if you have a higher concentrate of these certain types of stem cells. And I guess in the United States, from what I understand, they're still not allowed to isolate certain stem cells. So there still is a purpose to going to Panama. So you want it in your blood because you put it in your blood, it'll travel everywhere and it'll heal it'll heal any kind of inflammation and go to any kind of damaged tissue. Where if you put it locally in the tissue, it doesn't have that much reach. But at least they can do that now in the United States. They can finally put it in the blood. They just can't isolate those kind of more powerful stem cells. But I think that'll be coming in here in the near future.
Now, Todd, Todd has he feels a special connection to Bill. Their stories are similar. Todd, before we wrap up, what would be a message if Bill saw this video, and he's watching this video? What would you say to Bill about his journey since you've already been that size?
I would say just don't, your mind, your mind's going to fight you, right? And it's going to try to tell you, when, you're going to have these doubts and you're going to have your bad days and you're going to be wondering if this is just like all those other diets you had tried and hoped would work and failed. And I'm telling you, this is not like any of those. Throw those away. This is not like that. And then one thing that helped me was, I realized that I was avoiding not eating right and trying not to diet because, it's tough. It's hard. But, we think that when we're caving in, that we're escaping the hard things, right? We're escaping, discomfort and misery by eating what we want. But when I got stuck in that chair and I wasn't sure if I was going to, be able to ever stand up again, walk, I realized that I was choosing the suffering. When I was choosing to eat the bad foods, I was relieving some suffering for that hour, but I was choosing a much greater suffering for the other 23 hours out of the day. So my mind, my outlook has shifted. And now when I look at that food, I think if I eat that, I'm choosing to suffer 23 hours out of the day, So I no longer look at it like I'm avoiding suffering for an hour. I look at it as I'm choosing suffering, the rest of the time, for everything else, just everything's so much harder. And so I always say, I think it's better to choose your suffering because the suffering you choose to sacrifice for your future is way better than the suffering that'll choose you if you don't.
That's great advice. It really is. So Bill, if you guys smash the like button, and if you guys could share this with Bill, and hopefully he gets to see that and relate to Todd, that would be cool. So if anybody can share that. Who's Your Carnivore? I'm always blown away by how this one little thing, eating only meat, has helped us all so much and brought us all together at the same time, and it's free to do. Yeah, I just want to mention that it's free. Like, my coach taught me that the things in life that are most valuable, we get for free. Your mind, your life, your children, your sense of patriotism. Like, there's so many things you get for free that are just the most valuable thing in your life. And it's funny, he said that, you know, people will put more value like in a house that you won't take with you when you die, or a Rolex. Oh, it's worth 10,000, you know, and they won't read a book. They won't use their mind. They won't think and make better decisions, because what good is your mind? It was given to you for free. What is it worth?
Right.
Well, you know, the most valuable things in life are free. And I found out that the carnivore diet's no different. Now, I know you got to pay for the meat, but it's not like Weight Watchers or anything. You got to sign up, and it's just beautiful, man. It's a free thing that you just get into, and I just wanted to put that out there. So hopefully you guys
Absolutely.
find the value in free things. Your mind, you know, your spirit, like all that. Your life itself, man, it was given to you, man. It was gifted to you from God for free, man. Didn't cost you nothing. So we should just value the free. What do you think, Todd?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When in 2017, my dad and my brother both passed away 11 days apart.
Mm.
And when that happened, yeah, my whole outlook on everything changed, because it's like, you know, there's not enough money in the world. You know, you trade every penny you had to, you know, I'd trade every penny I had to tell Dad another joke, you know. And we're a Christian family, and I know Dad and Ty are waiting up there for us, and we'll see him. But
Oh yeah,
you know, the only thing that you can take with you is your relationships with people. That's it, you know. And so, yeah, I've definitely calmed down after that happened, because now, you know, even people that, you know, maybe before I, you know, didn't get along with or whatever, now I can even kind of see. I can even, you know, even in their crankiness, I can even kind of see a little bit of humor in it, right? You know, and so those people I go out of my way to joke with and stuff, and kind of break through the stuff, because
nice.
this life is not worth being mad and serious, you know, all the time. It's just, you can't take any of this stuff with you. All the stuff we get so wrapped up in, and so worried about, and money, and you know, bills and work and all that stuff. None of that carries over. You know.
Just your awareness. Your awareness is all you can take with you. So that's why it's in, you know, and knowledge is power. You know, and when you're, the lack of knowledge is ignorance, and ignorance puts people in fear, and they're
Totally.
just in fear because it's a lack of knowledge. And when you gain knowledge and put wisdom in your mind, it increases your level of awareness, where there's no way anybody could pull the wool over your face. They couldn't tell you the sky is any other color but blue, whatever.
Yeah.
You
When my
you want the awareness.
yeah, just shortly before my dad passed, one of the things he said was he wished he wouldn't have spent so much time worrying about things that never happened.
Yeah, Rick says even ducks and iguanas are free. Yes, Rick can attest. Then iguanas taste good, you know, and he gets the free duck eggs. Like the best things in life are free, man. We just have to, and that's the other thing too. My coach taught me about abundance. Abundance. You know, Rick doesn't even have to buy eggs, man. There's just ducks all over, and it's also controlling the population of the ducks in his neighborhood. So it's like he's doing the neighborhood a service, and he's doing himself a service. Like
Right.
we just have to tap into the abundance that's already in front of us. You know, I was saying just real quick, my coach was like, you know, we already have what we need to get what we want. And that would drive me nuts when he'd say that. I'm telling you, drive me nuts. I'm like, what do you mean we already have what we need to get what we want? But another thing he's right on, you know, and it came to me, you know, we all have had meat and steaks and eggs since they were around before we were even born,
Oh,
and they'll be around after we're here. The answer has always been here. It's always been available. We just weren't aware of it. So I
yeah.
just want to encourage you guys to increase your awareness, struggle for that, man. Our awareness to realize we are one with what just is, and that is the universe and God itself.
Yeah.
Todd, I had a lot of fun.
Me too,
Hopefully
man.
you did.
Oh, it was a great time, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. Whenever you want to do this again, I'm down for sure.
Absolutely. You guys, and I always say, my coach taught me the first law of learning is repetition. So replay this, you know, your mind might drift, you know, you're thinking about something or checking a text message, and then you miss something very important that Todd said that might be valuable to you. So replay this, because there's value in Todd and there's value in his story. And that's why he's on here. And that's another episode of Chatting with Carnivores. You guys, it's been a blessing. I love hanging out with you guys. I will catch you guys tomorrow. We have 2 live streams, and the second one will be later at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that's going to be a carnivore hangout. So you might even see Todd in there tomorrow. You might see Bubba, a bunch of people. Nia, I'm inviting whoever. I'm gonna put the link in the stream tomorrow. So we'll catch you then, guys.
Thank you very
Peace
much,
out.
guys.
I'll do my duck face on the way.